Welcome back. This is our bike video for our Saturday the 13th of April sale here at Manor Park Classics. I've got Jimmy, who's optimistically dressed in shorts, even though it's tipping down with rain outside.
Yeah, it actually is, isn't it?
But the forecast for Saturday, sunshine.
Yep, so make sure you wear your shorts.
If you had sunshine and it was a beautiful day, you'd want to buy a motorcycle.
Yeah, I would, and I would love an unmolested Cub.
Wouldn't we all love an unmolested Cub? 1963 Honda C100 Super Cub. Look at this, completely unrestored. Where on earth did you find that?
8,000 miles.
What?
Colleague actually got this one in, and what a low little estimate as well of around £2,000 to £3,000. And as you say, a completely original bike, untouched, and it still works and still rides and runs.
Because even me with my scant bike knowledge, I know this is the bike that kind of mobilised the world, the Cubs and the Super Cubs, aren't they? These are almost the transport of choice for nations everywhere, aren't they?
They were, and they were the pinnacle start to the Cub range, which the iconic one became the Cub 90, didn't it? Which became European and worldwide as we know it.
These are four-stroke. These are quite smooth, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very smooth. Yeah, perfect. I mean, the fact that it runs and it's patinaed the way it is, I don't think I'd want to do anything with that.
No. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Also, that registration number is transferable.
Yeah, transferable plate, that one.
So you could actually buy a very, very cheap, because that's a 4x2, which is a cheap way of buying that plate with that number.
Extremely cheap, yeah.
And getting almost a free bike, nearly.
You could look at it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then moving on, 1972, Suzuki GT250 Super 6 has raced this, hasn't it? So it's a race bike, proper.
Yeah, I mean...
Beautiful restoration as well.
That'll have some stories to tell, to be fair. It's a two-stroke race bike. Really, really popular, these sort of in the 70s era. That was an early 70s, 1972, I believe.
1972?
Yeah, and absolutely stunning. Really easy to ride, puts you in a nice, natural, aggressive riding, racing posture. And again, just like the last one, it runs and it rides. And there is a class for that if you wanted to race it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what can you race it? And also, I'm looking at this as well, the vendor has spent £2,500 in the last few years, so it's had some money spent on it, keeping it lovely. Yeah,
you can tell they've just made it look pretty again. To be fair, you know, me and you could probably take a spanner to this, and we could probably do a complete and utter overhaul in a weekend.
Yeah.
The only thing that would slow you down with that is a bit of paint work.
Well, not much of it's painted.
Not much of it. It's just a fairing, yeah. You could have ripped that off anyway if you wanted to.
Fabulous tank on that as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
really nice looking bike.
Yeah.
So what is that eligible for? What race series can you run those in?
Two-stroke classic. They do a British.
Do they?
Anything up to 350cc, race it in that, yeah.
But even with all that said, so race eligible machine and just something very lovely to look at, that's only going to cost you somewhere between £3,000 and £3,500.
Yeah,
it's a lot of bike, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and sometimes it sounds a bit optimistic to say, are you really going to, someone really going to buy that, and are they really going to race it again genuinely? But actually, in previous sales and in the last sale, we genuinely sell race bikes and people are excited to pick them up, and they're taking them to a mechanic, and a few weeks later they're looking forward to getting them on the track.
That's mega.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they're great as a curio, great thing to have in your collection, but so wonderful to see old bikes and cars getting raced and used as they should be.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Now this is nice. Moving on to this 1980 Yamaha TZ350. Again, lovely restoration.
Yeah.
Engine upgrade to 350G spec, 6-speed box, been in dry storage. So you do find them. You keep consigning these beautiful bikes. Ready to go, just needs fluids.
Yeah, local chap as well, this has been supplied from, and a TZ enthusiast. So all he buys is TZs. He sold 2 in our last sale.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, this one wasn't lucky enough to reach the reserve. Not that it's not worthy, because it absolutely is.
But sometimes that just happens. It's just maybe that the right people aren't in the room or the right buyers haven't registered. Yeah, it doesn't mean the bike's not beautiful.
It does happen. We get a lot of stuff, as you know, that goes through and misses, and then it goes through the next time, and it goes bigger than Ben Air.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It takes the right person on the right day.
But this is also eligible, isn't it, for Super Classic?
Yeah, same as the Suzuki that we were just talking about there. But it being a 350 as well, there's quite a big cult following for these. You know, the 350s were the machines.
Yeah.
You could get the Japanese racing and GP bikes of the day, which were 500s, but they were like professionals only, and they were pretty dangerous. They're either on or off. Really powerful machines. The 350s are sort of the happy medium, and really popular amongst tourist and weekend riders and racers. And there's still professional leagues now that you can race 352 strokes in as well.
It's great. I think I would love to, if I was going to buy a bike like this, the fact that you can actually use it, compete with it, it's so much more fun.
100%, yeah.
So 7.5 to 8.5, you could take that one home if you want to come and see us on Saturday.
Yep.
Again, staying with 80s machinery, 1983 Honda XL500R 4-stroke classic enduro bike with 42 on the clock.
Yeah.
500cc, bit of a thumper.
Yeah, a bit of a thumper. Only 2 previous keepers as well, which is quite random for a bike of its age. Bit of patina on there.
We like that though.
Yeah, we do like a bit of patina. I think the exhaust could potentially do with replacing in the near future, but stuff like that is readily available. Swing arm and everything's solid. The wheels aren't buckled, and it runs and it rides.
And this is a bike with some severe competition credit, isn't it, the XT? It won a few things back in the day.
It did, yeah, and this is just a road legal version of the machine. I think it has had some sort of restoration done if you look at the engine and parts, previous restoration. But you know, if you wanted to bring it up to a modern standard, I think most of it's there. It's just a bit of work.
Or just service it and ride it, because I see if you over restore a bike, particularly a trial bike, you're never going to ride it, are you? Whereas if you just leave it a little bit scruffy and just enjoy it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you could just service an Well, the thing is, I mean, it's not just a trials bike; it's roadworthy as well. So as long as you stick an MOT on it and give it a service.
But is it the same with bikes? So that's an 83. Would that also be like a car, MOT exempt? Are bikes MOT exempt for 40 years?
It's 41 years, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's 41-year-old bike. Would you have to MOT that? That's 41 years old.
Is it 41 and
this 83?
6, 83. So it depends on what month it is, isn't it? Because it's 41 and so many months, isn't it? But I can see where you're going, and it'd be MOT exempt. Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah.
That would be 3 to 4 grand.
Yeah.
A lot of fun for very sensible amounts of cash. That.
Absolutely.
Moving on to this beautiful 86 Honda TLR200 Reflex. Fully functioning classic enduro.
It is, and not only is it fully functioning, but the gentleman that brought it in has
Don't tell me you
doing
wheeled it into the sale room.
No, I did. No, I didn't. If he's watching, I didn't wheel it. The gentleman that actually brought it in, he's actually used it for enduro.
Has he really?
Well, not for enduro, but for trials purposes.
Yeah.
So in the UK, we do 70, 80, 90 mile enduro rides cross country, and he actually used it, and the scroll's still on the top there. From October 22. Yeah, it's basically a note scroll for directions and everything else, and you can see that October 22 was the last time that he actually did one on it.
So yeah, this has seen some action.
Yeah, it has seen some action.
Just been serviced as well, lovely nick.
Yeah.
Starts and runs on the kick, doesn't it?
Yep.
Good tyres, new chain and sprockets not long ago, and on a current V5.
Yep, and it's a lovely example. Yeah.
And again, just so much bike for money, 2.5 to 3 grand we've estimated that at.
Yeah.
This is what's great about this room, isn't it? If you've just got a few quid kicking about, you haven't got a lot of room in the garage, you don't want to tie up tons of cash, but you want to have something you can play with, have some fun with, maybe make a few quid on, who knows.
Yeah.
But just enjoy. If you could come in with 2, 3, 4 grand, you could take something really nice home.
There's plenty of things in there for that kind of money. The good thing about that bike as well is that it's a trials bike. But for a change, it's an older trials bike, but it's actually a 4-stroke, so it's not going to give you a load of jump on the way around. It's actually
won't upset the neighbours.
Sustainability.
You can go off on low revs, can't you?
You can go off on low revs, yeah. But it doesn't smell as good.
That's true. Yeah, I do love a 2-stroke. Bit of Castellar in there. Right, 1967 Suzuki TC250 Super 6.
Yep.
That's a pretty bike, is it? 60s trials bikes are a really nice aesthetic, don't they?
Yeah.
Crazy exhaust look on that.
It's really rare as well, actually. That you don't really see them very often.
Chrome's very nice, isn't it? New pistons, reboard motor. Brand new period tyres on there as well. Crank's been rebuilt by Ian Ambler. Chains and sprockets all spot on. Just been serviced as well. Once for nothing.
Yeah, no, it just want for nothing. It's good to go.
Just an owner.
Just an owner, and the guy that brought that in has brought quite a lot of bikes. Put a lot of bikes through us. He's local and he lives 2 or 3 miles away. Good chap, genuine bloke. And everything he puts through us always rides and runs exactly how he said it would.
That's got some lovely, lovely touches on it as well. What an interesting design with that headlamp shape as well.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's very Japanese, that, isn't it?
It is very Japanese, yeah. It's very period as well.
That's a lovely thing. It's not going to cost you massive amounts of money, despite the phenomenal amounts of work and money that's gone into it. 4.5 to 5.5 grand, you could be riding that home. Yeah,
and believe it or not as well, that chrome that you can see there, that's not restored, that's the original.
Is it really?
No, it's original, yeah. So the Japanese manufacturers, especially Suzuki and Kawasaki, they were way ahead back in the day with the
What
chrome.
quality?
Yeah, it's anodized chrome, so it doesn't peel, it doesn't patina. That, and what you see there, that's how it rolled out of the factory, exactly like that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Japanese build quality and everything in that period, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's off the charts, though, isn't it?
Yeah, much better.
We could only dream of it in this country, that's for sure. That's why they came and conquered, though, wasn't it? We were so used to British cars and bikes, they started bringing that stuff over. Everything worked, everything lasted, and it's like, yeah,
nothing
is
leaks.
new.
Yeah, the only oil you find in the garage is under the British bikes, unfortunately.
So moving on, talking of lovely Japanese bikes, but bringing it right up to date, 2018 Suzuki DL250 AL8 V-Strom. So this is a great commuter or tourer, this, isn't it? If you want to just actually ride to work with warm hands. Yeah,
exactly. 3,000 miles, you know, it's a new bike. So you with 3,000 miles, the condition it's in, you're pretty much getting a new bike for 2,000 and a bit, depending on where it goes. And this bike will be perfect for someone who's just passed the test and are getting into the bikes, because obviously it's only a 200cc.
Yeah.
Or, you know, someone who wants to do a little bit of touring, maybe a son or a daughter of a family that are into bikes and like to tour a bit of Europe, you could do it on that.
Yeah. So it's got a nice kind of LCD dash on that as well. It's got a spare key with it.
Yeah.
So like you say, almost like buying a new bike. But that's, again, you could buy that for $2,000 to $2,500.
Yeah.
So much for the money, isn't it?
Yeah, loads for the money. It's got battery optimator on there as well. And also, I do like to say this, you might hear me repeating myself, but when a bike comes from somebody we know and trust, I do like to say that, because, you know, it's valuable, isn't it?
Well, provenance is everything, isn't it, with a car or a bike, I think. If you know the people that you're buying from, it makes a hell of a difference. It really does. Now, this is a very pretty thing. 1986 Suzuki GF250, restored, I would say, to the highest standard. This is show quality, isn't it? This?
Yeah, it is, yeah. It missed on the last auction, unfortunately, and I just don't know why. I think it's going to take the right kind of person to want that bike, mainly because it's just so rare. Before this one, I've been around bikes for a long time and I've not actually seen one before, just to show how rare they are. Well, there you go. So, extremely rare. Obviously it's been restored, but you can see that it's not aftermarket, it's been restored with its original integrity.
Back to factory. I'm only saying, so this is nut and bolt, isn't it? This has been back to a frame.
That is proper job, yeah.
Not messing about. This isn't a tidy and a tickle, this is everything apart, back together. Beautiful paintwork as well.
And again, the chap that's put this through, he's put about 5 bikes through before. We're starting to get that now, that's like a bit of a trend for us. We're starting to get to the point now where there's a lot of nice bikes coming through, and they're getting used to and liking working with us, and we're getting more and more kit.
Well, it's lovely because people start to trust us with their collections, and hopefully
we
do a great job of finding the right buyers and the right prices for them, and then they very kindly consign some more. We thank them, and that is between about £280 and £3,200, which is mental, because I cannot imagine how much money that would cost to restore a bike to that standard, but it's more than £3,200, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, You'd like the way that sounds, because it sounds like a Formula 1 car.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I just love Japanese bikes.
It just screams. You're not going anywhere,
but it
matter. Sounds
great. Who cares when you look that good?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Just enjoy the glances.
Yeah.
But this, aesthetically, the look of this, for me, I just think these are absolutely amazing. So, proper street fighter, 1992 NTV 600 Revere.
Yeah, it was one of Honda's first plays, really, on a naked sort of street fighter. It's based on a CB frame, which they used for their sports bikes. It's like an adopted version, 4-stroke. Sound pretty good with a nice system on them.
This V-twin, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a V-twin. They sound good with a system on them, very throaty, quite torquey bikes. It's the right engine for the bike, if you know what I mean. If you want a naked bike back in the 90s, and that's the way a manufacturer's going to go, you'd want to put a V-twin engine in it to make it sound proper. But I mean, this particular one, over the last few years, as you can see, it's not necessarily been well looked after. There's a bit of patina on there. It does need tidying up, but mechanically, the engine and everything else, it runs fine. You know,
just do like a riding resto, can't you? Basically, run it throughout the summer, have some fun with it, and either just run it as it is scruffy to the winter and do it, or just improve as you go. It's pretty tidy and presentable. A very pretty bike, isn't it? Really good looking bike.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, lovely bike.
It's got 6 months MOT left on it as well. From a local dealer. And like you say, I think we're being mean by calling it scruffy, because it's actually a very presentable bike. It's not even a 10-yarder. It's not even a 5-yard. It's a 2-yarder.
It is. Yeah, I'm saying it's a little bit scruffy, but maybe because it's sat next to this.
We're next to a show bike. So when we say stuff's scruffy, guys, it's not that we're being in any way denigrating the stock. It's because we have got bikes here that could be show winners. So that's our top mark. That's our high water mark.
Yeah. Well, to me, if someone says it's a little bit scruffy, that sometimes makes me think, you know, scruffy doesn't mean it's damaged. It
No.
means it needs a bit of
It's
tidying
loved.
up. And I love tidying and doing
That's
bits.
potentially a 1,500 quid bike though, isn't it? This thing. It's
Yeah,
not gonna break the bank.
no, or more. And like I say, you know, a little bit of tinkering, and that'll be beautiful again. You know, that's all it is. Everything's there, and it works.
And that is a good looker.
Yeah.
But this, talking of handsome machines, look at this, 1978 Kawasaki KH250, fully restored. Paintwork on this, you want to just sink your hand into it?
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the Hulk's chest.
That's you, Jimmy.
Weirdly enough, this is not one of the most expensive bikes in the sale, but this is actually one of my favourite bikes in the sale.
I get that. I just get the look of it. It's got the X factor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but the thing is, the things that I love about it is, I love the chrome, I love the wire wheels. The fact it's a 250 two-stroke really does it for me.
But these are 3-cylinder. That's weird.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
they sound really strange.
Incredible. Yeah, they sound really cool.
Literally.
Well, and this one will do especially because it's basically got a straight-through system on it, and you can see where it's widened. That's the Spangy, the expansion chamber.
Yeah.
So it will sound like a little Grand Prix bike. It'll sound ace. But what I like about that is it's come with a big box of paperwork and parts and everything else, loads of precedence. Spoke to the owner, seems like a proper stand-up, genuine chap. And obviously, what I do like about it is that initially these bikes are kickstart bikes.
Yeah.
But they appeal to me very much so. I'm a bit unique like that. I'm all man. But the older boys tend to like this sort of stuff. But kicking these two-strokes over, it's quite hard work. So he's put an electric start on it, so there's no messing. It's just, you stall it at the lights.
Does the kick still work though?
Yeah.
Does it? So if you want it to go full manly or ladily, 2012, you can still give it a kick. But if you can't be bothered, just
but
it up.
The fact is, it's never with kick-starting bikes. It's never about the initial starting of the bike. It's what happens when you stall at the lights, and then you're giving it the big one for 10 minutes, and you can't get the thing going.
Everyone's laughing at you.
Yeah. Whereas on this, if you stall at the lights, you give it a quick flick of the switch, and you're off again.
You go.
So it's really good, and it opens doors to ladies and gents that remember these bikes from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and think, well, if something happens like that, I'm not going to be able to start it again. Well, you can with that.
You definitely can. And also, just one more, just kind of have another zoom in phrase. Just look at the paint on that. The paint's insane. It's so deep. Beautiful, beautiful finish on that bike.
It's lovely.
35,000 miles.
You can see it's been well loved.
Lots of previous MOTs. That's a beautiful thing. But like you say, not massive amounts of money for the work that's gone into it. 4.5 to 5 grand. But even if you just sat there and looked at it, you'd be ashamed. But it's a beautiful thing.
If you had a collection of expensive motorcycles and you stuck that in the middle, it wouldn't look out of place.
No, it wouldn't. The colour is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, we love a bit of Kenny Roberts anything, don't we?
Anyone loves Kenny Roberts, don't they?
It's got to be one of the most iconic race liveries, isn't it?
I think it probably is, yeah,
So
definitely.
moving on to this 84 Yamaha RD400LC by PVS, Speed Black.
Yeah, so this is, what year is this one?
84.
84, yeah. So
Were you even around in 84? Were you around there?
Yeah, I was 3.
Were you? You were a youth.
So this is one of the later RDs with the YPVS, which is called the Yamaha Power Valve System. Just give you a load of extra torque, to be honest. Yamaha Power Valve System, something that's fitted onto the top of the cylinder head.
Isn't it like a variable valve timing?
It's a little bit, yeah. It essentially does what most stuff does, and it sucks in a load more oxygen and drags a load more fuel. But you get so much more integral torque with these than you did with the pre-YVPS sort of stuff. The 70s RD350s and 400 and pre-LCs were still quite quick bikes, but not very torquey. There's a huge difference between those and what you're seeing here. This bike overall is in nice condition. It's an original bike.
It's got a couple of little tiny marks on the fairing there, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, but the fact is
but it's very clean.
I mean, but the nose cone's there, and the nose cone's original, so this is only stickers and paint.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's a huge issue.
It's funny, you want to just maybe literally knock the edges off that and make it mint, wouldn't you? Because it wouldn't take much at all.
Well, it wouldn't. I mean, essentially, you could take, if you look at how much fairing's on that, you could go to a top painter and pay about 650 quid, and that'd like new.
Mint. Yeah.
And then as far as the rest of it's concerned, the engine's been serviced and everything. It runs lovely. It rides. The wheels are lovely on it still. It's got good tyres. So yeah, you'd be away.
So there you go, 5.5 to 6.5 grand. You could be the owner of that. Was that be fair to say that's like one of the early superbikes? Is that kind of to lay the template for what followed afterwards? I mean, they're not massive power, are they? But I understand, ride very, very well.
Yeah, well, I mean, a superbike, not so much, but definitely super sport. That's what everybody wanted. They were wheelie machines.
Super agile.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in answer to your question, it was a sports bike of the day. That one's actually an import. So we talk about the RDs, which is a UK spec.
Yeah.
That one is an RZ350.
Is that JDM?
So, yeah, it pretty much is, yeah. A few of them got sold to like the European market and stuff like that. But, and there's a big thing with that actually, in that a lot of people, if you turn up to a meet and they'll be on a Yamaha, for example, an RD400, it'll get a lot of attention. But if you turn up on an RZ500, people go, oh, that's an import. We like this because it's a UK spec bike. But the RZV has got an aluminium frame, updated suspension, everything, because the Japanese didn't give us the best stuff.
Well, it's the same with cars. Yeah, exactly the same with cars.
Right.
Conversely with cars, if you turn the JDM version, that's considered to be cooler.
Oh,
because
right, okay.
everyone in cars knows the Japanese stuff is always better.
Yeah.
It's always much better spec. They really dumbed it down for UK market, didn't they?
Massively, yeah. Well, why would they do anything else? They kept all the best stuff for Japanese racing, didn't
I would
they?
have an import every time.
Yeah, of course.
2 wheels or 4, definitely.
Yeah.
So this one's 76 Yamaha RD400.
Yeah.
Very nice original bike, this, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's pre what we're talking about there, the 350. So that's pre-LC and pre-YPVS. And they call this one the coffin tank because of its elongated coffin design.
Very iconic.
Hugely iconic. And a massively successful bike in the 70s, this one. Did really well. And back in the day, if you wanted to be anyone, that's what you would be riding.
And again, this is an import bike, came over in 2024.
Yep.
Lovely low mileage, 13,000 miles.
Yep.
And you would need to find in your piggy bank about 5.5 to 6.5 grand to take that home.
Yeah.
Very, very cool thing.
Yeah. And again, runs and rides, doesn't really need much doing.
And now you are standing next to the 1989 Suzuki GX400.
Now, this is just stunning, isn't it? I mean, have you taken a proper look at this?
That is a handsome bike.
Yeah.
So 400 cc's with 4-stroke transverse, double overhead cam.
Yeah.
Powerhouse.
I might even pull this one out just because it's such a lovely thing. You can get a close look
gorgeous.
at just how good this is. I wrote in the write-up for this that when you start it up, it sounds like a little sewing machine, the engine, because it does.
Someone's
it sounds
polishing
fantastic.
this, haven't they? It's very shiny.
The whole bike is just absolutely immaculate. It's a 400, and believe it or not, the 400s are more rare now than the 6 and the 750s. Even they're more rare than what they called the side slab, which was the bigger CC versions. And if you just look at those wheels, if you look at a proper look at the details of this bike, it's just absolutely fantastic.
All original plastics on it as well, no damage anywhere.
No.
What a smashing thing that is. 27,000 kilometres, this one as well, isn't it? So which obviously it's about under 20,000 miles.
12, 18 roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and genuinely, it sounds like a brand new engine when you start it. It's just completely quiet. It sounds like a little sewing machine. You can hardly even hear it.
So where's it been, this one?
It's been in a gentleman's collection. I actually just saw this for sale, and of all places, it was actually on Facebook.
Was it really?
And I just thought that doesn't, contact a gentleman.
That wants to be in the proper auction. Really.
That needs to be somewhere it can make its money because it's not necessarily the place for it. But
Yeah,
the guys clearly loved it. He's put, there's a lot of time and attention gone into it, and it's nice to have it here.
And £4,000 to £5,000, you could be the next lady or gentleman that takes that home.
Yeah, 100%.
That is a very pretty bike.
Beautiful.
So this lovely bike, fully faired in. I do like this style, being a bike novice. I like a jelly mould. This is 95 Honda CBR600 F3, proper 90s bike, just been serviced, great tyres, full 12 months MOT on it as well, and just lovely overall condition. Why would you want one of these? Because this to me looks like a phenomenal amount of bike for the money.
Yeah, it is, yeah, especially given that it's got just been serviced.
Yeah.
12 months MOT on the bike as well. Runs and rides great, and as I said before, this one has also been supplied by a chap who works at a local dealership around here we love and trust.
Because this is true price range motorbike buying, isn't it? You could buy this, have a summer full of enormous amounts of fun, and maybe even take it away for as little as like 1,200, 1,300 quid. You could buy this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you could, and also you could just buy it, have it for the summer. Some people like to buy older stuff like this, or cheaper stuff like this, shall we say. Use it and enjoy it through the summer, and then in the winter have it, store it, sell it, and get the money back. Because you could literally
free bike.
It's a free bike, yeah. You literally put your money into it and take it out, and you could do exactly that with that bike. And I don't personally think that looks out of place in terms of modern stuff.
No,
it still looks fairly sleek.
I think it does.
I like the delivery on it. I think it's a nice bike.
Well, it's very 90s, but to me that's a bonus.
Oh yeah, that's a bonus. Yeah. Anything or 80s or 90s for me is.
And 90s suddenly become exceptionally fashionable again. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm hoping my
100%.
wardrobe will eventually come back in fashion.
Yeah. I've got a few shell suits hanging around that used to look
you
like
should
that.
wear one on Saturday. Yeah. But going back to the 80s now, one could argue the pinnacle of design of everything.
Yep.
So Yamaha FZR750 super sport bike of the late 80s, 749cc with good tyres, motor runs lovely.
Yeah.
Rides and runs correctly according to our lovely vendor, but no previous paperwork with this. We haven't got too much.
No.
Just needs an MOT and a service to get it back on the road, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. This bike was a bit of a pinnacle for Yamaha, to be honest. They called it the Genesis, and they made a version of this called the OW01, which actually became the production race bike for British and World Superbike. And if you look at it, there's not a lot to look at difference-wise fundamentally, but if you look at the two, there's a huge difference in spec. However, this one in its day was extremely highly spec'd and was an extremely well, respected sports bike. And if you look at the shape of it, you can see where we're going from super sport now into starting to merge into what we now call super bikes in this era, and you can see it due to the shape of the machine.
So this is almost the missing link between the old and the new, isn't it, really, from a design point of view?
If you like, yeah. And I think that there was a huge boom at the end of the 80s and the early 90s with motorcycles in technology. And a lot changed. And this was one of the motorcycles that kind of did that. This one is a UK spec bike as well, which is nice. It's got some miles and that on there. We don't know if it's had any provenances in their engine rebuild or anything.
Yeah.
However, it does run. The guy brought it in, he started it up pretty easily. There doesn't seem to be any issues with the motor.
And it's not going to be an expensive bike. You could probably buy that for under £2,000.
Yeah.
So at that kind of money for such a nice bike, you can take a little bit of a punt, can't you? The fact it runs, rides, moves, all that kind of stuff. And then just recommission it as you go.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. 100%.
Love that. Very nice looking thing. And then back to the 70s, we're doing the decades of design here.
We are, yeah.
It's really good to see actually how bikes have evolved. If you sort of stand here, it's like the evolution of bike, isn't it, basically?
Yeah.
The 77 CB750F Super Sport, the original 70s sport bike.
It is, and to add to what we were just saying about the last one, as you can see the evolution, that was the 70s version of that sort of bike in the 80s, because that bike, along with the Sandcast Honda, they were the original super sport bikes. They were the original proper race bikes with a 4-cylinder, high capacity machine. So yeah, I mean, that would be like you flying around on one of those R1s that you can see at the stage over there, something new. That was the bike of its day.
It's got the lovely HRC livery on there as well. It's just had a refurbished fuel tank.
Yep.
Top end rebuild was done at 33,000 miles.
Yep.
It's only done 37,000 now.
Yep.
Good tyres. You could argue maybe a tiny bit, just a little tickle here and there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need much, does it?
It doesn't need much, no. It's like the other one. It's not scruffy. It's just a little bit untidy. It needs a bit of tidying to get it back to where it was. However, it runs and rides as it is. This bike wasn't originally this colour, and that's not an original Honda colour. I forget what, I think it might have been red.
But it looks good. I'd leave it like that. It looks great, doesn't it?
Well, I like the HRC, and anyone who likes Hondas likes HRC. So it's a pretty good paint job that's been done there, and again on the tail. And other than that, actually, apart from the crash bars and a few minor bits and pieces, that's how it should have been when it's an American spec bike.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should have been.
But also for £2.5 to £3 grand, it's not huge amounts of money for what it is, and you can just enjoy it as it is.
Yeah.
I think if you over-restore stuff, you just end up tucking it away, where there's a lot to be said for leaving it presentable, but needing a tiny little bit, but having fun. That's what it's all about. All these things are for having fun.
That's right, yeah.
Now the Rickman, this I think is a great looking thing as well, isn't it? 1980 Rickman-Honda, Yoshimura.
So would you know about Rickman in the car world as well?
Yeah.
Rickman did a few bits.
They did, the Rickman Ranger.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. So this is pretty much what Rickman did.
Fiberglass Masters, weren't they?
Yeah, and you can see that they've done it with this as well.
Yeah.
Everything's just fiberglass. I think even the tank is fiberglass on that one. But we've got an original tank with that one as well, if you wanted to. In fact, we've got an original tank and an original seat if you don't want to go for the... I mean, you'd be all right sat on that. I'd be like Stretch Armstrong trying to reach the controls.
So the previous owners had this bike for 40 years. So talk about knowing where it's come from and who we've got it from.
Yeah.
So it's got Brembo's TT tyres, it's got Kawasaki wheels. So it's a real proper hot rod of a bike, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Very rare as well to come across. Such a weird price gap on these. You see some of them, we never work off what stuff's advertised for, just off what things are selling for. Yeah. And you see these selling for much less than this, and you see them selling for a lot more in the similar sort of condition.
So we've estimated this at 6.5 to 7.5.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But I think it may be the most 80s thing on the face of the earth, apart from my wardrobe.
Yeah, potentially. That might have a little bit of competition.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we're coming to Yamaha in a minute that's going to maybe vie for that.
That just screams 80s, doesn't it? But we'll come on to that in a minute, yeah.
Then moving on to this lovely quacker, this 78 Z650 SR, freshly serviced, freshly MOT'd, ready for you, our lovely next owner, to come and have a look at this.
So this is coming from the same guy as the 600F Jelly Mold we were just chatting about. He's well into his bikes, and again, this one, it runs, it rides. The engine actually sounds pretty good on this one. It's got an aftermarket exhaust on it. Again, a little bit untidy, but could do with a little bit of a tidying up, but it's not so much work.
Yeah,
it's just.
And so we must always qualify that just in case people are flicking. When we say untidy, we are being so hypercritical.
Yeah, exactly.
Because our top watermark here, our high benchmark is concourse.
Well, our lives are bikes and cars, aren't they? So, you know.
So our version of slightly scruffy, someone else is immaculate, isn't it?
And we both got OCD.
Yeah, but we're a little bit, and also because we know that a lot of people buy off these subscriptions, we do try to be as harsh as we can, but as fair as we can.
Yeah, just be as honest as we possibly can. Yeah. So, I mean, if the worst thing you can say about a bike is it's a little bit untidy and it needs cleaning, well, that's not the end of the world, is it? You know, it's
bit of autosol on a couple of Sundays. I think you have a machine there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's probably like that in the car world, in the bike world. People sometimes that's a green light because they can get it on, put the smell on it
as well.
You know, yeah, exactly, yeah, 100%. You know, and people like to make it their own. I certainly do.
And also, you can buy that. I think a much better value proposition because you get to add the value. You could buy that bike for somewhere between 1,500 and £2,000. Yeah. You could polish 500 quid into that bike. Easy.
Well, you could, couldn't you? Yeah.
If not a grand.
Yeah.
If not a grand. So that's a lovely thing. 77 Suzuki GS750 plain bearing crank super sport bike.
Yeah.
Good tyres again, US import, but with an MPH speedo on this one as well.
Yeah,
Runs and rides well.
Runs and rides. It's got current V5. Top end has been stripped on this one.
Yeah.
And rebuilt. It's nice. Tyres are good. There's not an awful lot to say about this because it's pretty much an original bike. If you just pan round and have a look at the tank there, I'll just lift this up. You can see the paintwork and everything on the tank. It's actually quite beautiful, that the metallic two-tone paint that's on there. So that's a lovely paint job.
So this one's been in the collection for 5 years, but it's just been recommissioned to service, so that would go again. And that, to me, because of the super high bars, that looks a very comfy bike to ride.
Well, it is, yeah. It's like a super sport, super tourer of its day, if you like. I wouldn't really know where to put it because there were so many genres of bikes in its era. But yeah, essentially a very comfy bike and something that people would genuinely ride around with a pillion passenger.
Yeah.
They did do a smaller CC version of this bike that people used to use for deliveries. Because it was a great nimble bike.
Yeah, I can believe that. And also I can believe you could probably do 200 miles in a day and get off feeling pretty fresh.
Yeah, easy.
That's a nice riding position, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But obviously with this one being the bigger CC, it can carry a pillion passenger quite easily. Yeah. Or not. Because there's loads of integral torque. So yeah, good bike, runs and rides. And very, very fairly reserved.
Yeah, 5 to 6 if you fancy that.
Yeah.
And why would you not? It's a very rideable looking thing. Yeah. Now we're saying award for the most 80s machine in show. Could be. And when we're saying our high benchmark, our high watermark, here's a great example. So we're talking, if you are so inclined, if you want to buy this machine, enter yourself into a motorcycle concourse of 80s machinery, I think you might end with a chance with this bike, don't you?
Yeah, this really is lovely. The paint's great. It's original. It's clearly been, the vendor stated, the previous vendor, that actually this bike hadn't been rebuilt. I'm not too sure. I think potentially there's some aftermarket paint on the exhausts and stuff. Yeah. But certainly not on the panels. The motor runs great. The turbo runs great. It's got the two exhausts on there. Which actually, the left one is the exhaust. And then the right exhaust is not an exhaust, that's your wastegate for your turbo pressure. And yeah, you just look at it and you're waiting for some Stranger Things music to come on.
Definitely, it's got great tyres, even with bubbles on. You can still see the bubbles on the tyres.
Still got the bubbles on the tyres, yeah.
Some good MOT history, no mods, owner's handbook as well. Yeah. Got some period bike mags of its being reviewed in the 90s. It will need a service before it's used, but that's about all it will need.
Yeah. Well, some people might actually recognise it because that went through in the summer last year.
Oh, okay.
And the gentleman who bought it is an avid motorcycle collector. He's got about 150 bikes. And he just saw that and thought, wow, I need it. I want to buy it.
Because it's the most 80s thing ever
Yeah,
made.
and then he did, and then it just doesn't quite fit into his collection, so he's basically put it back in. Of course, in the interim, it's not been serviced or anything, so I'd recommend that it does get serviced before it gets
What
used.
a beautiful bike. You know me, I'm obsessed with anything 80s, and just that aesthetic, that design language to me. The fact it's got turbocharger, just all the S.
Yeah.
5.5, 6 grand, you could take that home.
Correct.
And you'd be very happy if you did.
Yeah.
Moving up to the millennium, the year 2000, the
Hulk.
Kawasaki Ninja.
Yeah.
Lovely low mileage, 9,000 miles on this. Best colour, of course.
Yeah.
Fantastic nick. Super duper tyres, current V5C, and again from another collector.
Yeah. This was actually one of the first road production 200-mile-an-hour club bikes, and it's scary to think that you could just sit on that now, open the throttle, and
go to jail.
You'd go to not for jail in about 2 seconds. Yeah.
Because the aero on this, you can see the amount of air management, particularly around the front. It's very, very fared on the front, isn't it?
It's very fared on the front, yeah, and the reason it's like that, and the reason it's got the little wings, and also if you look at the wheelbase on this, it's quite wide. It's just to stop the thing from wheeling.
Yeah.
So all that you're looking at there, all that aero and its stance, it's all designed around anti-wheelie.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the scary thing about bikes like that, is that they can actually put the power down. I mean, there's obviously bikes now that far supersede that, but for its year, this bike has come from the same chap with the TC250 we were talking about, Suzuki earlier, which is an extremely rare bike. And this is the sort of quality of stuff that he gives us. It all looks like pretty much new old stock. I mean, just look at that end can. It's got a couple of little marks on there where it's caught something, but polish out. Everything's just, everything's just superb. I don't think it's got any MOT on that one anymore. However,
I saw a YouTube tutorial. Is it toilet cleaner that you put on?
Really?
Yeah.
Does it right?
Yeah, chemical toilet cleaner, and it brings it up.
Okay.
Check it out on YouTube. You heard it here first.
That's Paul's advice, not mine.
Okay, check it out first.
Yeah, I never said
Maybe
it.
try a small sample, please.
Try it on someone else's bike first.
4.5 to 5.5 grand to buy something that is hypercar fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
200-mile-an-hour club is quite a significant club, isn't it? But to access it for 5.5 grand, that's crazy.
Yeah, and let's not get around the fact as well that this just is immaculate. This is an immaculate bike.
Come on, look, Fraser, look at this beautiful paintwork.
Yeah, the paintwork's fantastic. The gentleman who bought it and who's put it in, same as the other bikes, he just loves bikes. He's got a lot of bikes.
I can tell
to use them all.
We've got some very passionate collectors.
Yeah. So
very kind of use us like a library.
Yeah, he kind of wanted this bike because of what it is, but then after owning it for a while, thought, I've had it for what it is, but he doesn't really have a use for it. And a lot of bikers will get that. Because I think with cars, people do change cars, but bikes are a bit cheaper. So people will buy a bike, this doesn't feel right, and they get rid of it, and they churn through bikes.
Well, long may it continue.
Well,
We're very grateful
we are.
Very grateful for the business.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Well, this is a very good little lookalike, this, isn't it? It's a Lambretta special lookalike from, again, private collection, fully restored, lovely paintwork.
Yeah.
Rides and runs like new. Well, it actually needs bedding in. That's how new it is, because it's had a full motor rebuild with new barrels and pistons, new bearings, new chain and adjuster, new gaskets, new carbs, new clutch, new tyres. The brakes have been done.
New seat,
new starter ignition, and a full repaint.
Yeah.
Someone's just, it's nut and bolt, isn't it? The whole thing.
Yeah,
inside and outside.
It is inside, outside. So basically, there's 3 of these here. We'll come on to another 2 in a little bit at the front of the stage, and they've all come from the same gentleman, who's fully restored them. The other 2 are restored using a lot of the parts, original parts. This bike is pretty much all new parts.
So it's new old stock bits.
It's new old stock, and the guy is a painter, and he does cars up for a living. And you can see that from the standard, he's a pretty good painter.
Yeah, I'd take my car to him, I tell you that.
You would, yeah. He's a good guy.
But also, the brand new tyres, so new, all the bubbles on those tyres, that's not been anywhere, is it?
Well, no, it's not. It's been completely restored, and then it's gone nowhere. It needs bedding in,
So that is basically coming here and buying a brand new 1962 Lambretta, isn't it?
Essentially, yes.
For 5 grand?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Just over there on the desk.
What a value that is. That's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
Again, things you can't buy for the cost of the parts, really, almost.
Not really. I mean, because he's in the trade and he does it for a living, he could achieve that. But me or you would have to outsource the bits, and you would end up doing it for the love.
Well, I mean, just the paint on that alone. You imagine the prep and cost of that. There's
Yeah,
four figures of paint.
He sort of said to me, "What do you think of the paint? Do you know?" He was like, "Oh, I'm not sure if you'll hate it." And I said, "I certainly don't hate it." And a lot of people that love scooters, they want to stand out.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge load of scooters, like a load of wasps coming down the street. You want yours to stand out. Well, that's going to do the job.
But it's very much a lifestyle thing, the scooter life, isn't it? And that really ticks all the boxes
It is.
for me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And we've had so much interest in this next bike, including for some very good friends of mine, actually. 1960 Triton T110.
Yeah.
Fully restored.
Yeah.
Slimline featherbed frame, twin carb, alloy head, alloy tank, Norton front brakes, alloy rims. It's got LED bulbs on it as well, a little bit more light.
Yeah.
And done a whopping 0 miles since it's been restored.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and something that you came onto there, which I find really impressive, you can see the LED bulb inside. It's a bit weird to see a classic motorcycle when you switch the headlight on. It's just like floods. Yeah, well, yeah, you can actually see. Yeah, that makes a nice start, doesn't it? But this thing has been restored from an inch of its life. It's an originally 1960, imported from 1994 into the UK. We've got loads of paperwork and precedents with it. Not exactly sure exactly when the restoration took place, but look at it. Do you care?
No.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
But also, this is a 15 grand build.
It's a 15 grand build. So these generally sell for £9,000 to £10,000. So this guy has been quite clever and put a good reserve on it, and as a result, he's already got multiple bidders waiting. So this is a very popular bike. So if this is something that you're interested in, get registered to bid, have an idea of what you want to spend, and be quick, because someone's going to buy this bike on Saturday.
Well, we've had commission bids already, haven't we? So we know that this bike will sell on Saturday.
Yes, we've had commission bids already. I mean, we don't know that it's definitely sold yet.
That's so true.
But, you know, we've had commission bids, we've got registered bidders, and we're expecting big things.
Yeah, I think so. I say £15,000, and it's not been ridden. So you are effectively the first owner of that bike, and you will buy it for a fraction of the restoration cost. Whoever buys it at whatever figure, can he buy?
Yeah, and also, just before we move on, it's such a rare thing to have a company that's allowed to be, they're not a bits of company, but a little bit of a bits of company, and using parts from two different motorcycle manufacturers.
Yeah.
And for it still to be allowed its precedence and be classed as a classic motorcycle.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen. And Triton have done it with that.
Amazing.
You know, it's part, well, it's mostly a Triumph, but there's a bit of a few manufacturers in there. Yeah, and I think it's great, and it's styled great, and it looks like a modern play on a super bike.
I think that's going to end up in someone's collection, don't you? It's almost too nice to ride.
It's lovely, yeah.
Yeah, I hope someone does ride it then. Well, into the 50s now then. 1952 Norton Dominator, Model 7, fully restored with only 700 miles since it was put back together.
Yeah.
Early swing arm model. With lovely paintwork on that as well, really nice stuff. And it rides and runs perfectly.
Yeah, it does, yeah. This one was actually brought in by a colleague of mine, so I don't really know too much about the backstory.
Tell me the backstory, Jimmy, come on.
But I do know that Davis said from the vendor that he's a very legible guy. He's put a couple of bits and pieces in with us before, and it's a lovely machine. It's even got what looks like the original carry case on there, which is old. But yeah, at some point it's had full restoration. It runs, it rides perfectly. You can even see on the clock there. It's got 731 miles on the clock. But if you just pan onto the top of the clock, you can see how that's even been restored, and it looks like a brand new wristwatch. It's just stunning.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah, beautiful machine.
So yeah, beautiful restoration, estimated £6,500 to £7,000 there. This has got trophy winning capability because it's already won a trophy.
Correct. It has, yeah, it has. Transferable plate as well, and a local bike.
Well, what's your feeling on that? I think if it's been on the bike since new, I think you should leave it there. That's part of the bike's history, isn't it?
Yeah, I would leave it there, yeah. Unless your name was 425, in which case I put it on the card.
Or Zaz. If your name is
Zaz.
Zaz.
If your name's,
Yeah, if your name is Zaz, maybe take it off. But I always think it's a shame when bikes get stripped to their old numbers. I think if they've been on there since new,
just leave it alone.
Leave them on. Leave them on. 2007, the Royal Enfield, the Bullet Electra. So this is, to me, a very clever place to be because you've got all of the classic styling, you've got modern electrics and tech, so you've kind of got the best of both, haven't you? You can pretend you're riding a classic bike, but really you're riding quite a modern bike, mate.
Yeah, you are, yeah. This one, I rode this around the car park just as I rode it in. and it's I rode it around the car park as I rode it in. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I did.
A lot of what you
I
say
did.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
People at home are used to that
Yeah,
by now.
as long as I get paid, it's fine.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, rode this bike in, and it sounds actually incredible.
Nice silky 4-stroke.
It's lovely. There's a strange, I think it might be straight pipes, I'm not sure, but there's a strange, lovely crackle on the deceleration, which you get in like supercars.
Yeah.
It comes out of it, and it does sound very nice. It rides nicely. It's got a good disc brake there on the front, adjustable rear suspension.
And an electric start, so you can pretend you're an old 60s cafe racer, but you just start on the button.
Yeah, you can take the pick. You can either kick the living, what's the word we want to go for? Bits out of it,
yeah.
Or you can just press the button, you know.
Whichever you prefer. And it's just had a service as well, so she's ready to go 4,000 miles on the Odo, and somewhere between 4 and 5 grand, you could be taking that back as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What a phenomenal motorbike. Right, the most iconic tank badge in the business.
Triumph.
That is it, isn't it? That is peak tank badge there, isn't it?
It is, yeah. A lot of British people like the old bikes get very excited when you say things like Triumph.
Harmonica tank badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So T90 Tiger, fully restored, this one, isn't it?
Yes.
From another avid collection. We do thank you all these lovely people who are trusting us with beautiful parts of their collections.
Well, the gentleman that owns this has got about 250. Wow. And he's put a few through us before, and he's got a few more coming. And they're all of a really, really good standard. And what he tends to do is he buys stuff periodically.
Yeah.
He keeps it for 5 or 6 years, and then he moves it on. So they don't do any miles.
Yeah.
He just tends to tinker with them a little bit, and then he gives them a service and an MOT if they need one, and then moves them on.
Well,
which is exactly what he's done with that.
Yeah, this one does need recommissioning if you do want to start riding it again, though.
Definitely.
And it will need a new V5, because they would just need a new V5 application. But it's a sound motorbike, and 4 to 4.5 grand, you could take that one.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Matchless C2 CSR,
bike. Yeah.
G2 CSR even, sorry. Restored to a beautiful standard, this one again. Full motor rebuild, full crank rebuild, lovely paint job, refurb wheels, brakes have been overhauled as well, and lots of receipts on this one.
Yeah. Matchesses were always a bit over-engineered as well. I mean, if you look at the size of that engine...
Well, they were called matchless because you couldn't match them.
You couldn't match them, could you?
They were matchless.
No. You couldn't match the size of the engine block either. I mean, look at the size of that 200cc.
I know.
You get 1,000cc bikes now that
huge.
Half the capacity of that. Another good one.
They obviously really enjoyed casting in the Matchless factory, didn't they?
They loved it. That was the best bit.
Was it casting day? Look at the size of that phrase. If you just come and stand at the front, just look at the size of that casting.
It looks like a cloud.
There's like a lot of aluminium gone into that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's pregnant with a baby motor.
Its centre of balance will be perfect.
Well, yeah, perfect CAG on that one, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, again, from another collection, colleague brought this one in, so I don't know too much about the backstory, but overhaul, you can see that it's a great bike. When you sit on it, you can tell that the suspension on the rear has been serviced and everything still works.
Feels
Shock
still like a Tiger.
Toy like a Tiger.
It's good. 1,500 quid to £2,000, that one. Mm-hmm. And then the Thunderbird.
Yeah.
I really like this kind of bathtub styling. I think it's very groovy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Thunderbird is massively iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just an iconic bike, and so's that motor as well. You usually get collectors that have got things like Tigers and stuff like that, that they always have these in the collection as well. I mean, if for a classic bike collector, this is like the pinnacle, really, to be honest. And
restored to its former glory. Nice V5 with it. Needs a recommissioning again because it's been sat, loved in a dehumidified air-conditioned room.
Yes.
So you are going to have to just go through and just tickle an oil if you want to take it on the road again.
Yeah, 100%. The only thing with this is the clutch is slipping a little bit. However, the compression is right there. So even though it's not been started for a long time, that will fire straight away. It's not hard to fire these anyway, the 500cc's, but that will go straight away. I do know that the clutch is slipping a little bit on it, so you might
just
have to
give yourself some time and money for that.
Yeah, that's all. But the rest of the bike is lovely.
And budget 5 to 5.5 grand to buy it.
Yes.
A few hundred quid to get the clutch sorted, and then you've got yourself a perfect Thunderbird.
Yeah.
If we go for a later Thunderbird, 1996.
Slightly bigger CC.
Yeah, 900. They did get a bit bigger then, didn't they? Great condition, HPI clear, from a lovely local dealer, liquid cooled, great tyres, current V5, and some MOT in service. That's a very aggressive looking machine.
It is a very aggressive looking machine, a very comfortable machine to ride, very torquey. And as you can see how the engine's positioned as well, it's quite high up. This is not really a bike that's going to fall over on you, and if it does, you can kind of catch it.
Really 90s looking bike, though. Very 90s looking green as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 100%. And again, not an awful lot to say about this one. It is what you see. It's a lovely bike. The paint works good. The chrome works good. It runs and rides. Like you said, supplied by a local dealer that we know and trust. So, you know, with a bottom end estimate of £2,000, someone's going to get themselves a nice bargain.
And that's what 70 horsepower bikes. I get that's really rideable. It's not so much power you're scaring yourself all the time, but enough power to really throw you down the road, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, those engines on these particular style of bikes were built around torque anyway, and that's why they were built around taking you and your partner around the country.
Special friend.
Or, yeah.
We could go out together.
Special friends, aren't
we? This is the Triumph Road, this, isn't it? It's a 1962 T90 Tiger. Again, another avid collector, British racing green, beautifully restored. Again, does need a recommission because she's been sat in air-conditioned, dehumidified luxury. And at some point, you've got to give them a little once-over, haven't you?
Yeah, from the same gentleman as the one at the end there, the blue one, which we mentioned. Again, bought as a complete restoration and then done no miles since the restoration. Sat relaxing in an air-conditioned unit. And then years down the line, now being moved on to a lucky new owner.
Because this is me, you know, coming into this bike market as a novice, as I am, the mentality of bike people and car people is so different, because bike people love to do beautiful, perfect restorations and then just admire what they've created as a work of art, almost, which I totally understand. But because, I mean, some of the work is like art, isn't it? But I think if I'd built a bike that well, I just want to ride it all the time.
Yeah, I've never restored anything and just looked at it. I've enjoyed my work afterwards.
I was going to say, get out there and ride it.
Yeah,
but the nice thing is, guys, all these restorations that have been in collections, they are all rideable after a little bit of service and recommissioning work.
Yeah.
So if you want to be the person that breaks that cycle, please do. If you just want to sit and look at it and enjoy it as a sculpture, do that too. It's your money, you do what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
So 65 Triumph TR6 Trophy.
Yeah.
Now this one is regularly used.
Right, so now we're talking about something that's been restored that can be used and is used.
Jump on and ride.
Jack brought this one in. He's only from down the road, a few miles away. And this bike, is seldom used, goes to bike meets and everything else. It has a previous restoration, but everything works, and the fact that he uses it regularly tells you that you can just jump on it
and have a bit of fun with it,
and you're good to go.
And it's super tidy. I mean, it's not concours because it's been used, so you get your blooming and your discoloration and your little careworn marks, but that just all adds to the charm to me.
Well, of course, and that sort of stuff only matters to people that want concours stuff, that are collectors. If someone wants a usable classic bike to go to bike meets, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. And not massive amounts of money, 4.5 to 5.5 grand if you'd like to take that one home. Moving on to the Ariel, the Square 4, the 1953.
Yeah.
Project bike, this one.
So this one's a project bike, I mean, this done is worth about 16, 17, 18 on a good day.
Wow. And you could buy it for probably half of that.
Yeah.
As is.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're watching and you're a skilled hand and you want a classic British bike to do up and then potentially move on to make something out of, you're looking at one of the ones that we've got on stock.
So this was imported from America in 2021.
Yep.
It's pretty much original.
Yep.
And you would be the first person to register this in the UK, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because it's completely unregistered. And it was, the guy bought it in with the intention of restoring it, and instead got it, just made sure it ran. You can see there's some fresh spark plugs in there.
Nice.
To make sure it runs.
So that will kick up?
Yeah, and it does. But then, just like everybody else, life takes over sometimes, and you don't get to do the things that you want to.
So true.
Which is why it's here.
So 7.5 to 8.5 grand. You could be the owner of that. And as I say, if you are a talented spannerista, you want to polish and spanner some value back into that, you could double your money there, couldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
You really could.
Yeah.
On to the 57 Ariel Square 4. Again, beautiful restore. This one has had the work done, so you don't have to.
Yep.
So by a current owner who was the restorer. Been with the current owner since the 1970s. So we know who's had these.
Yeah, we do. If you want, we can chat about lot 19 and lot 16 together, actually.
That's lot 29.
29
You're confusing the lovely people watching.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, 29 and 16.
together.
So 29 is the Ariel Square 4, if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
I'll correct them, because people will be bidding on the wrong lot.
Yeah, just make sure, If I mess anything up, you just clean it up like yours after.
Yeah. And this is 1938 Ariel, Red Hunter. What a great name.
Yeah. I know, it is a good name.
Yeah.
So, but these bikes have come from the same chap. Both of them long-term owned. I think this one was owned since the 70s.
Yeah.
This
So
one.
these have a 50-year provenance, basically.
Yeah,
at least.
And I said to him, I said, wow, I said, did you restore this? And he said, which time?
I really did
yeah,
it a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times, yeah. So basically went into the back of the guy's house and he had this huge wooden sort of built-out building. And then he had a load of aerials.
Yeah.
And then in the back he had one on a bench that he was working on, one next to it that was waiting, that one was next. And he's all about aerials, he just loves aerials. So these have been much loved. They've been dry stored for a long, long time and had some restored quickly and some restored and rode over periods of time.
And they're lovely standard, aren't they? So the Square 4 you could pick up for about 8 to 9.
Yeah.
And then the Red Hunter, we're thinking more like about 6.5 to 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would be the take-home figures, somewhere about there.
Yeah, 100%. The Square 4 is the daddy. That's the super bike
Big
of its
bike,
day.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It is a really big bike.
Yeah. That's the super bike of its day. So obviously, the Red Hunter, I think, is it 500cc, and this one's double its capacity, 1000cc. And for a bike of that era, you didn't really see 1000cc bikes around. So these were in competition with the AJS's. And Triumphs of its day, but they just didn't have the power.
So you've got things like these later indicators just to make it a little bit safer, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's these two, and another one on the stage that will come more apparent in a bit. This particular bike, you like to use it a little bit more.
So the indicators actually make a lot of sense. Yeah. So you get knocked off, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that's always a good thing. So yeah, you can see a few aftermarket bits on it, like the wing mirrors and the indicators. The whole wiring loom's been changed, and that's because he wanted to use it more. It just makes it a little bit more of a daily usable thing to have a bit.
I don't mind that because it's nothing that you couldn't ever put back if you wanted to go too.
Oh, of course,
curious.
yeah. Well,
anything that keeps you safe on your bike while you're out enjoying it.
Well, essentially, you're just taking stuff off, aren't you? It's not like you've got to put anything on. So, yeah.
And then round two, this amazing 1988 Honda VFR750R RC30. Is this the most iconic homologation bike ever built, do you reckon?
It is, yeah. So this basically was what you could call the world's first carburettor powered superbike, and it led the way. And Honda did lead the way in a lot of aspects. It came from the CB650 originally, which was re-engineered. Stunning machine. Predecessor being the RC45, which was the injection engine, which came a little bit later. But yeah, it just led the way. It's beautiful. So I'll just give you a few details about this particular bike then. This again has come from someone that we know and trust, that we met at the Stafford show a few years ago, and we're actually there next weekend, by the way, as well.
Nice. Do come and see us.
Yeah, so it's had full paint job from Dream Machine.
Not cheap.
Wheels powder coated. And if anyone wants to see it, I've got videos on my phone of this bike in bits and then being completely rebuilt up from the ground up.
So 2014 BMW R1200 CS. Makes me want to just ride across Africa.
Which you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one's only done 48,000 miles. Which you think, oh, 40,000 miles.
But not on a BMW though, they just do it, don't they?
Not on a boxer engine, not on a BMW boxer engine. No, this will do about 200,000 miles. This has been serviced to within an inch of its life. And as we're panning round on the camera there, you'll be able to see just how good this is. This thing's actually immaculate. The chap that's brought it in has done all the mileage on the bike up and down the M62 commuting to work.
Is it really?
Which is why you could see, if I was buying this bike, I would put a new set of tyres on it.
Because you see the centre wear on it?
It's centre worn.
Yeah.
It's not failed an MOT because that's not an MOT failure. So it's just had 12 months put on it and it's just recently been serviced. So it's good to go. Now, if you want something like this, or I'm going to be honest, even if you're thinking, I'm in the trade, I'm going to buy something and flip it and make some money, look no further, because these sell really quickly. Gentleman has got a low-end reserve on it of
4 to 4.5, yeah.
4 to 4,500 pounds. This bike is worth about 6,000.
It just looks so usable.
Yeah,
it looks so massively over-engineered as well.
It's over-engineered. This one's got a few extra bits on it as well. So first of all, you can see the adjustable windscreen on there, deflector. It's got heated grips.
Nice.
These protect your hands from the elements. It's got the crash bars. It's got fog lights on the front. It's got a really nice, that's actually a standard exhaust.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, yeah, but I was just going to say how nicely it's finished, and there's no marks or damage or anything.
But bear in mind this bike has done 46,000 miles there or thereabouts. There's no marks on it anywhere, are there?
Well, there's nothing, even if you look like underneath like a BMW bike.
You must have been cleaning this every Sunday.
Yeah. It's also got a crud catcher, so can you see the stand that just pops up?
Yeah,
on there?
I can.
You can see something on the bottom. That just stops anything from the front wheel and the back wheel throwing itself up against the engine.
But this is the motorcycling dream, isn't it? Getting a great bike, looking after it, using it almost every day, and just having fun with it. That's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And
moving on to the BMW, the R1200C.
Yeah, so if anyone says that technology's not moved on in the last 10 years, that would tell you that it absolutely has.
It really has?
Yeah, it really has. So
again, 46,000 mile, proof that if you're buying a BMW, you buy it to ride, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they do. Well, it's got its name, hasn't it, for a reason. The engines are just superb, and they're great at building bikes, you know. So yeah, I mean, this is that exact bike, but an older version. When you look at the technology that's been put onto that, it's crazy. But this was the bike that was featured in the Bond movies.
I was going to say, doing crazy things.
Yeah, doing crazy things.
If you buy one of these, please don't ride along a rooftop and jump from rooftop to rooftop.
It's not recommended, is it? No. You could try it.
It could end badly.
Yeah.
Good tyres, nice sweet running motor, starts on the button, chromework's still very nice. And again, probably the most millennium design of any BMW bike ever. It's so of its time.
Yeah, it's massively of its time, yeah. Bike rides perfectly. Again, not an awful lot to say about this one because it is just an original bike. It's the way it come out of the showroom. But yeah, good all round. No damage to paintwork or anything like that. You can see it's all in superb condition. It just needs a good clean, to be honest.
But Bond movie provenance again, which always adds anything to any vehicle. £3.5 you could buy that for.
Yeah.
Just seems like great value that does to me.
Yeah, it does. It's a lot of bike in it.
It really is. 1994 Motor Guzzi, California, 1100i. It's a great condition. 4-stroke, great tyres, current MOT, current V5, loads of MOTs and receipts, and recently serviced. So again, good to go.
It is, yeah. Fitted with steering damper as well, which is really good if you're carrying pillion on something that's that big in case you get a bit of a
scary shake.
Yeah, a bit of tank slapping going on. However, you know, these bikes, 1100cc, loads of torque. You can see the shape of the engine there. It's a V, and that bike was built for one purpose really, and those panniers on the back can pretty much tell you exactly what that is.
And also what looks like the world's comfiest seat ever made.
That is an extremely comfy looking seat for a motorcycle, yeah.
Yeah, and a little lip for your pillion to keep them all feeling secure and happy on the back.
It's got the added crash bars, as you can see there on the side, on the back. It's a side and centre stand, and the bike's completely original. Paintwork's good. It's got some history with it. MOT's just expired, but I believe the MOT expired last year with no advisories, and then it's not done anything since.
There you go.
So effectively, it should just go through.
And £2 to £2.5 you go for a cruising holiday.
Yeah.
With your nearest and dearest.
Yeah, 100%.
Love that. Onto the Ducati 2008 GT1000 Sport Classic. So only 3 years of production for this.
So these are rare. These are very, very rare. One thing I do love about this motorcycle are those wheels.
Yeah.
And the rims. It's just absolutely stunning. So they built this as a tribute to the original Super Sport back in the 70s.
It's got that retro vibe, isn't it?
It's got retro written all over it. I mean, if you look at that, what year is it? 13 or something, is it?
2008.
2008. Sorry, yeah. If you look at that, there's no way that looks like anything else that's a 2008.
No.
It's clearly a sports retro, purpose-built bike to look like the stuff from the 70s and.
But with all the modern touches.
Yeah, it's got all the modern touches on it. The dials and everything are lovely on this bike. And again, it's a Ducati, so there's no surprise that you can see it's got full Ollins and Brembo setup, which is, it's about as good as it gets. It has had a full service. In fact, if you look at the reservoirs on the top there, you can see it's nice and fresh.
Beautiful. Also, it had a new battery, new belts, new center brake pads, great tyres on it as well.
Yep.
It's got the Ohlins. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
jump on that, ride it, enjoy it.
Yeah, most of these people bought them with the idea of keeping them to make money, so they didn't actually get used. It's nice to see one that's actually been used, but it's in such good condition.
Yeah, 28,000 miles on that. And you could buy that, we reckon, somewhere between about 12 and 14 grand.
Yeah.
So if you want your more traditional fared-in Ducati 900 SS 1993, which is weird because this is the other way, so this is a much older bike.
Yeah,
it looks much younger.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. How good this is. So this one's a 900 Super Sport, and actually this is how they come. You could get them full fared or part fared, and if you look at the engine and everything else on that and the exhaust, it's all stunning. Normally you would end up with the standard Ducati pipes or set of Termagonis. It's nice to see a bike with a set of Ducati Performance carbon pipes on there. Sounds fantastic.
They don't look cheap.
No, well, they're not cheap. No, it's an extra couple of £1,000. Well, probably an extra £1,500 to £2,000 at the time when you're buying.
I'll take one.
Yeah.
So it rides perfectly. The motor runs beautifully. We've got fully service documented 2021.
Yeah.
Just absolutely bang on this, isn't it?
Yeah.
How rare are these in this sort of condition?
Well, yeah, in answer to your question, how rare are they? Not that rare in this sort of condition with these sort of miles for that year.
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen one that good before,
There you go.
which is why I've just pulled it out, the bike.
Thank you for clarifying that, just in case anybody couldn't see what was happening off camera. So 5,500 to £6,000, you could buy that. And as you say, you might find another, but you won't find another one like that.
No.
That's the thing. Then at the Royal Enfield here, you've got a nice view of this. 2005, again, a modern bike that looks older than it is.
Yeah, supplied by a chap in North Wales who's a dealer, and he's decided that he's not dealing in bikes anymore. So he wanted to put it in. He's put it in a very low reserve.
He has. I can tell you that reserve now is, wow, 1,800 to £2,500.
Yeah.
So someone 9,500 miles.
Yeah. So in 2 days' time, 3 days' time, someone's going to get a bargain on that bike.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. It's really nice. It's not got a current, or is it? It's got MOT, this one? I can't remember.
It's got a V5C. It just needs a service and MOT.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I can't imagine looking at it. It's going to need a lot, if anything, to get through.
No, the reason I asked is I do check the MOTs, and this is another one that I had no advisories or anything on the previous MOT, so you're not going to have any issues putting it through.
Because it's been dry stored for a long time, as I'd imagine at the dealership potentially. Eh?
Yeah, 100%. When it came in, I started it up, and it starts perfectly, and it runs and rides. However, it's been in here for a couple of weeks now. I went to start it the other day, and unfortunately the battery's died, so it'll need charging. But
charge a battery, quick recommission, quick MOT, and away you go. But 1,800 to £2,500 could be the bargain of the sale, that, couldn't it? Yeah,
it'll be a bargain for somebody, that's for sure.
And again, it looks very, very rideable, daily rideable in the summer, that does to me.
Yep.
So 1984, Garelli 323 Trial.
Yeah.
A rare bike.
So we took this one. It's obviously a 100% project bike, this. So this was bought, again, because someone wanted a project, which they didn't do. But the reason I took that is because that bike is 100% original as it came out the factory. Now, the only part that's not is the part that's missing, which is a rear mudguard. But I have got a new old stock one upstairs, which will be supplied with the bike. So anybody who's watching this, unless you're a Garelli enthusiast, will admit that they haven't seen one of these before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just so rare.
Yeah, massively rare, yeah.
But again, because it is a project, despite the fact you do have the new old stock part to finish it off,
yeah,
£750 to £1,000.
Yeah.
That's your weekend and evening sorted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lock yourself in the shed.
Yeah, it's banging. It's a great way to spend your time. It's a relatively inexpensive way. Now, I did ask the vendor if it starts and everything else. He thinks it does, but I haven't seen it start.
Okay.
Looking at it, I would suggest that maybe it doesn't.
And it might need a little service.
So it might need a little bit of service, yeah. So just bear in mind, if you are looking at that, that's not a 2-minute job. It's a full nut and bolt, and you could be in.
But it's all there, so you've got everything you need. Make a great basis for a wrestler, because I guess on stuff like this, if they are that rare, it's finding all the bits, isn't it?
Well, if you can get the bits, you'd be lucky. The fact is, all the bits are there. But if you did restore that
Go on, how much?
to original, you're probably looking at like £6,500.
There you go.
So on that basis, I thought, okay, we'll definitely take that and we'll give it a go. I was going to put it at no reserve, but I think
it's too rare for that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's too rare. And that done would look stunning.
If you buy that and restore it, please bring it back. We'll happily consign it for you.
Yeah, we'll happily sign it in its original Spider-Man livery.
It's so good, so good. It's the mid-80s. You're but a strapping wee lad, and this comes out, the Suzuki TS125, and this is a fully restored, ready to rock.
How cool does that look?
Very cool.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I like the way it's been restored, and the guy loved it that much that he didn't even remove the film on the top of the fuel cap there. Yeah.
So, new tyres, recent chain and sprockets, road registered as well, super low mileage, just had a service, with a spare key and a V5C. So all the fun of a trials bike that you can ride to the shops.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 2-stroke motor as well, which everybody loves. This has been a very popular bike actually.
I'm not surprised. We've had a lot of people view it today, haven't we, on Wednesday?
We have, yeah. You can just tell by the way it looks. And by the way, the oil that you can see in there does not belong to this bike.
It's a previous incumbent.
Yes, yeah. They've sat under many a vehicle over the last number of years.
We wait till it's got a good feel and then we recycle it, don't we?
We do. Yeah, that's what we do.
It's like drip trays in the pub. Jimmy drinks it.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful bike, road registered as well. Still got the original lights on this. People always used to rip them off because it looked cooler and put smaller ones on, so it's nice to see that that's still on there. Got the original seat. Tyres have been replaced fairly recently and are in fantastic condition and runs and rides perfectly. Engine sounds fantastic and it smells great because it's a two-stroke.
So they go 3.5 to 4 grand if you fancy that. And why would you not? Now we're going to move over now to a lovely 1974 Lambretta Li150 Special, so come with us. The 1974 Lambretta Special, again, beautiful restoration and probably the chance for you to buy a scooter done to a 10 for probably less than it cost to build.
Yeah, exactly. This one has got uprated motor in it as well, so it's a little bit faster than the original one. Supplied by the gentleman who supplied the yellow one that we were speaking about earlier.
And it's got a quicker motor that's been fully overhauled as well, new brakes on it as well, new Valvetronic ignition on it, and not used since it's been rebuilt. So this is ready for you if you either just want to look at it longingly or a little tickle in the check and actually start riding it.
Yeah, fantastic bike. Again, the guy's a painter and you can see the paint's just been done through an immaculate standard.
He's a great painter. Will he be coming to the sale? Because I might want to book a few things in.
Potentially, yeah, coming to the sale, yeah. But yeah, this one, the other one that we've still got to look at, and the original one, all three of them beautiful. All of them have been completely rebuilt, nut and bolt, restored, and then done 0 miles. So you're buying a new for old.
And potentially what, for 4 grand or so on that?
Yeah.
Which one? That's probably a grand worth of paint at least, isn't it?
Easy.
To that standard.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Even at mates rates. So there you go. You're almost getting, I would say, a couple of grand back in your pocket if you pay 4 grand for that.
Yeah.
I think you would be. So we do love a Ducati, don't we? We do love a clean, tidy Ducati. So tell me about this lovely 1998 916 SPS.
Well, this one is a late one.
Yeah.
They started production, they actually started production in 93, then brought them to the market in 96. This one's a late one, so it's actually got the 996 engine in it, which is a bit more of a
flying machine.
It's a bit more of a flying machine. It's the one that everybody wants. Full carbon fibre airbox, loads of other carbon fibre bits on it.
And the carbon's in nice condition as well, isn't it?
It's in lovely condition, yeah, and it's original. So the gentleman that owns this has actually had it for 15 years. Ooh. Yeah, and has not wanted to let go, and you can understand why when you look at the bike. It's been really, really well repaired, it's been well loved, it's been well serviced and looked after. It sounds fantastic, runs beautifully. Wheels, tyres in good condition, brake discs, a free floating brake disc, fantastic. Full Brembo, full all-in setup, and it's an SPS, so it's the pinnacle of that type of bike.
And obviously it's not going to be cheap because nice SPS never is, so 19 to 21 grand if you want to take that. But then again, find another one in that condition.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you know, these sub 15,000 miles bikes, they're really what the collectors want. So if you want a usable bike, you could do, but if you want something for your collection, you know, that's 100% it.
Get it, tuck it away, use sparingly on very lovely days.
Yeah.
So on to 1973, the finest year known to man. The Suzuki GT750, classic Japanese 2-stroke triple, this one.
Yeah.
Electric start as well, 5-speed gearbox, front discs, which is pretty cool for 1973.
Yep.
And just a nice low mileage bike with 13,000 miles on.
Yeah, it is. Well, this was the predecessor of the liquid cooled, and was in competition with the Kawasaki H2s of its era. These bikes can put some serious power down. They've got some serious torque. You can just see the size of that motor there.
You're saying?
Hugely successful in racing, and at weekends, guys used to drag race these bikes as well because you know you really can put the power down. They will lift the front wheel up, but to a degree, these things just propel themselves at an absolute rate of knots. Otherwise, I don't know if you know, but these are known as the kettle.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because it was the first water-cooled engine that they actually built, and due to the limitations of technology, the bike would fundamentally boil itself over quite often, so they nicknamed it the kettle. This one is.
I'm guessing they've sorted those issues by now, though.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, if you've not, then you don't buy a Suzuki, do you? At this point, there is a slight dent here. You can see in the tank. Just point that out there to anyone who's interested. Now, it's not fractured the paint or the lacquer, which would tell me you could probably pull that out.
Yeah.
But other than that, the bike's
on a bike tank, if that was a car dent, I've got a load of really good dent guys now because they've got these new adhesive pullers.
Yeah.
So they just put the adhesive on, they pull it, and then if need be, tap it back.
Yeah.
And then it all goes back, and then they just basically take the glue off and away
you
you go.
can use a similar system on the tanks because that part of the tank's not connected to the inner tank.
Yeah.
So you can do that with a little bit of heat and try and pop it out. But I mean, let's not overlook what we're looking at here. That's a small dent on the side of a tank. The rest of the bike is absolutely superb, and it sounds brilliant.
And that is roughly, we reckon, about 5.5 to 6.5, if you fancy that. Moving on, full bore race spec 2017 Triumph Trident Rob North replica.
Yeah.
So this is a reproduction, is it, of the 69 F750 bike?
That's right.
So tell me about that then. How did this come to be?
Well, it found its way here due to a local gentleman, and my colleagues actually brought this one in. And again, with it being a Triumph Trident, it's a bit of a half breed. It's not a Bitzer, but it's a mix and match of bikes. Bikes based on a Triumph, so it's running a Triumph motor. And yeah, fundamentally, a massive sort of was a huge breach in technology in its day in terms of aerodynamics and geometry.
Yeah.
And these were kind of one of the first bikes that really, you can't choose how you sit on it. The bike forces you into a position. And as you can see, you pretty much sat right over the back wheel, stretch right over the front, so you can get tucked down right behind that screen. And then obviously you've got your rev counter in there. One thing I do like is this welding on the yoke.
Oh yeah, that is very nice.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, that, especially for its era.
So how accurate is this to the 1969s, the bike that it's pretending to be, as it were?
Yeah, yeah.
If you put them side by side, is it pretty convincing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks exactly the same, and fundamentally, the running gear, apart from probably the way that it's actually geared, it's the same. And I'm not talking about the fact that this will be a one down, 5 up, or a 5, a 1 up, 5 down. I mean,
more the ratios.
I mean, the gear ratios,
Is this a bit more livable with than a race bike, in other words?
It's a little bit more livable, as in that because it's a replica, people they know that it's not going to be a professional rider that's going to potentially use this bike. But in terms of the question, what's it like in comparison to this to an original? Not that much difference, really.
Amazing. And 13 to 15 grand?
Yeah.
Would buy you that. And then onto this gorgeous 1932 Ariel Square 4. So this has been fully restored, this one, by the current owner. It's been with the current owner since 1960. So this really is a huge part of his life. It's a real honour, isn't it, when people have had a bike for that long?
To give it to us.
Yeah, when you think, it's been a part of their life for probably most of their life, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah. Again, I posed the question about the other bikes to the guy about restoration.
Yeah.
And he said, how many times? This is another one that is restored several times, and you can see that he's put a lot more effort.
Is that your gear change up there on the tank? Is it?
It is. Yeah.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah, yeah. And weirdly, it's the same as a conventional gearbox.
But it's just going through the linkage.
That's right. Yeah, it's done with hands, so it's neutral, 1 down.
Yeah.
And then on that, will it be 4 up? Yep. Once it's 1 down, 4 up. Yeah, it sounds brilliant. Almost sounds straight piped, these, to be honest with you. There is a little bit of a baffle going in the finned silencers on the back. But yeah, fantastic bike. These sell for anything up to around 20,000 quid.
And we've estimated this at 14 to 16, so we've estimated it very sensibly.
Yeah, he's been very, very realistic. And it's lovely, like you say, to have 3 bikes that have been owned for 30 years, 40 years, that have, somebody's trusted and brought to us to finally give them to a new owner.
It's a real honour, isn't it, really?
It is, actually, yeah, it's fantastic.
And I think what's coming across is when you're consigning these bikes, you really are getting to know the owners and vendors very well, and you're getting to find the stories and backstories of these bikes. And if people are interested in buying them for their collections, let's be honest, when you buy anything, a car or a bike, you want that story, don't you? You want the provenance, you want to know how many times it was restored, what they did, what they changed. We have that information, don't we?
Yeah, you just want to know that. I like to try to get to know the vendors a little bit, because with a bike or a car, there's only so much you can see.
Yeah.
The spec that you know, but there'll be things about that vehicle that you don't know unless someone tells you.
Yeah.
So it's just good to get that information, and it's good to build that rapport with the customer as well. So yeah, so we're really proud to have those 3 aerials.
And a real chance you could buy that for potentially less than its market value. But the room will decide, as always, won't it?
Yeah, well, the market decides every time, doesn't it?
Well, that's why we love auctions so much. Now, this is very pretty. 1982 Yamaha TZ250J with a Tony Donnell modified frame.
Yes.
So just talk me through what that actually means. Obviously, it's a very pretty bike that's been done to a very high standard.
Yeah. Can you see that the bike's in like a skeletal structure?
Yeah.
If you look at modern motorcycles in the last 10 years, before now, they're pretty much just an engine with a swing arm.
Yeah.
That's the way more modern motorcycles went, and it's weight saving.
Ah.
So it's got an adopted frame, and you can see that on these bikes. I don't think you can see it on this one. But, yeah. So underneath, the way that the frame's adopted is that you've got your swing arm here, and then you've got your spring right underneath. So the actual shock on the rear runs from there to about here underneath.
It's a massive travel.
So there's huge travel, but it's fully adjustable, and at the time, that's where we kind of thought technology was.
So this is very ahead of its time then, really, for an early 80s bike.
It is, yeah. And these are still really competitive now, you know, these 250
Well, this is a winner
strokes.
at Cadwell Park. This has got silverware to its name, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Diamag wheels, so it's mega spec on this thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they are mega spec'd up. These are still very, very much raced today. You know, and Yamaha still build the TZ350 range, and 350s. Yeah, they still build them and they still race them. Obviously, technology's moved on quite a lot since then. But I mean, I can imagine that with them cans on there as well, that sounds like a proper race bike. Imagine it's.
So there you go. You could buy that, and if you want to go racing, podium-ready machine, no pressure. But the fact it's a winner already.
Yeah.
That's any problem in it. When you buy a bike, you know it's a race winner. Pressure's on you.
You better be good.
You better be good. Right, so 8.5 to 9.5. Don't worry if you're not a race winner. Just buy it, enjoy it.
Just buy it,
look at
enjoy
it, and have
yeah.
some fun with it. Take it on a track day and just have some lols.
Yeah.
So 1957 AGS 16MC, again fully restored trials bike. Obviously everything exempt on this.
Yeah.
Lovely original motor.
On this one.
Yeah. So tell me about this, because this is the original motor still, isn't it, on this?
Yeah, it's the original everything. Love these pushrod, the old style pushrod motors. So the thing is with this bike is that you do tend to see a lot of Triumph, BSA, AJS trial style bikes. You don't actually ever see the original ones anymore, how they were when they rode out of the factory. And even rarer than that is the fact that it's still got its original lamp on the front, because of course with trials bikes people used to just rip the lamps off because they were using them.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's all
Things
weight,
to break.
Yeah. So everything got taken off it. Unfortunately, this one has appeared exactly as it did when it left the factory, which is beautiful.
It's like a little time warp machine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like going back in time to 1957, really stunning looking bike there. And again, but if you look at the amount of work that's gone into it, 5 to 6 to maybe 7 grand.
Yeah.
Top estimate for that.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love the way that you probably can't see it there, but it's still got the original Dunlop plaque on the back of the seat there.
That,
yeah, and then
look at that, Fraser.
And then you've got the original stamp there on the mudguard.
So also, I guess if you're trying to restore another one, come and have a look at this.
That's right.
If you're trying to get one right, come and have a look at ours.
Yes,
because it's absolutely bang on. Yeah, so 67 in your piggy bank. If you've got that plus 15% of course on top, you could be the next owner of that beautiful bike.
Yeah.
Coming bang up to the millennium date, the MV Agusta F4, very low mileage, 11,000 miles on this one here, 6-speed manual.
Yeah.
Just had a service, just had a battery, just had an MOT. Our kind of vendor.
100%. So me and Will like to check the statistics running up to an auction to see what's been the most popular vehicle machine, and that's the one that we're looking at right now. So
in terms of, is that the net results, you mean, the amount of people clicking into each of our
people,
listings?
yeah, YouTube watches, Facebook, clicking onto the page, everything else.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
It's a Bonnie thing, isn't it? It's a really Bonnie thing.
Everybody loves these. It doesn't get much more Italian than an MV Agusta F4. People love the back of this bike, is what makes it iconic, and it's the styling of that rear, almost fighter pilot look, and then the 4 exhausts that are sticking out of the back. You can tell that it was pretty much styled by the same team that styled the Ducati 916.
Yeah. But also lots of carbon fibre bits on this one as well.
Yeah, loads of carbon fibre, all standard, that highly spec'd. You can get models with slightly more upgraded stuff. This one comes with the Showa suspension rather than the Öhlins. However, it's still highly spec'd.
And what about you? Are you a grower or a shower? How about you?
I am definitely a grower. You know about yourself?
Yeah, I'm more of a shower.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay.
Nice that you got the tax disc on there as well. Do you remember those?
Tax disc?
Yeah. No, you never bought one, did you?
No, I didn't know.
To be fair.
I always forgot.
Yeah, it's in the post.
But then you just got a ticket, didn't you, to say, produce this, and you never.
It's much cheaper. Much cheaper that way.
Don't do that anymore, though, obviously.
That's right. Always do it online now. Yeah. Please keep your tax up to date. 1964, so I'm guessing this is from our very talented painter friend, who has clearly been busy in the booth.
Yes.
Knocking out almost a production line. He's doing more than Lambretta were doing in the 1960s, isn't he?
He certainly is, yeah. He's doing.
Dare I say, to a better standard of paint.
That's probably, that's undeniably a better standard of paint. But I mean, the chap's doing all sorts of cars and classic BMWs and all sorts.
I need to get his card, mate. He is on fire.
Yeah.
His paint is beautiful.
Yeah, he's good, very thorough. And what I like as well is he's put the effort to get these bikes looking so right that he's even put a new tyre on the spare wheel.
Yeah.
He's gone through the effort, but then he's been really realistic with his reserves.
Well, can I just tell you, lovely people at home watching this, 3.5 to 4 grand again is the estimate. I mean, it might blow through that because it's so nice.
Yeah.
But he's got 3 in here, so you've got a lovely choice. You've got to find one that's right for you in the colour that you like 100%. As well. Again, motor rebuild, new bearings, new clutch, new tyres, brakes have been overhauled, brand new seat on there as well. It's had barrels and pistons up to 150, so it's a little bit more punch. And again, can't stress enough, as well as giving you all these lovely Phil Daniels mirrors. You're ready to go, aren't you?
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
What a fabulous car. I hope he's here on the sales day.
I think he is. I think he's going to come and join us, yeah.
Amazing.
But I'll be sure to grab him.
Very good. Yeah, you can't really convey how nice this has been done, guys. And again,
all 3 of them.
4 grand or so, any of them, they all look as good. They're all better than new because, not being funny, there's no way they painted them that well when they were done.
No. So I think we've just got another race bike and an RGV to talk about, haven't we?
I believe so. So 1988 Suzuki RG500 Gamma this. It's on the podium, which has to mean it's a very special bike.
It is a special bike for a number of reasons. So talk about the bike just quickly first. Paintwork is absolutely beautiful.
I concur.
This bike is a full restoration, as you can see, including the engine overhaul, wheels, chassis, suspension, brakes, you name it, it's been done. So this is the real deal. This is if you're looking for an RG500 or for a big bore 2-stroke classic bike, this is exactly what you want.
I mean, this is concours, isn't it, really?
It's absolutely beautiful. And there is a little bit of a backstory, which we're not going to go to too much. However, the gentleman who actually owned this bike wanted something like this pretty much all his life and bought it last year.
In this condition?
He bought it in that condition.
Wow.
I've got a video of him looking extremely happy that his wife took. And then he decided to ride the TT last year and unfortunately passed on the TT on his wife's R1, which is why this bike has been brought here today.
What a story.
So we've done a load of work on it, we stuck it on here and we're doing some extra special work just because of the nature of why it's here. But fundamentally, that aside, this really is a superb example, and if you want an RG500, this is where to put it.
And clearly from a very passionate biker.
Very passionate biker indeed. Yeah, from a biker family.
Amazing. Never once in a lifetime. So that's obviously not going to be cheap because of what it is.
No, but this is a case of, with this sort of stuff now, this is where the market is, you've got to pay the right money to get the right stuff, but they're only going one way.
That's true, and that's collector quality, isn't it? That wants for nothing, needs nothing.
Yeah.
Just polish and somewhere to park.
100%, yeah, it's the real deal.
And then finally, for the sale, this little treasure at the front here.
So this is a Sealy 7R, so it's a 350, 4-stroke motor, and with that megaphone on it, it sounds like a missile. Superb bike, completely restored, and was a massive sort of pinnacle for Sealy in the 70s. Sealy are a little bit of a bitzer company again.
A bit like Triton.
Yeah, a bit, if you like,
So taking the best bits of everything.
Yeah, but as you can see, this bike's superb. It's a superb version, and it's had some upgrades on there. Like you can see some modern Maxton spring suspension on there, and electronic ignition. Runs, rides, sounds beautifully from the vendor, and it's been priced really well.
And what would you think that would cost on the day? What's that going to go for, Jimmy?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've got a guide of between 13 and 16. This is one of those things that's, I mean, I've never seen a Sealy before. You've probably never even heard of a Sealy before. So they're very rare. So it's very hard to price stuff like this because there might be somebody out there who's absolutely bonkers about buying this, or there might not be the right person on the day.
And as we always say, it only takes 2 people in a room or 2 people online to find the right price. So there you go, some incredible bikes, well consigned bike team, top job. So if you see anything you like there, Don't forget you need to register to bid either online or here in the building on the day on Saturday. You can leave commission bids before the sale if you don't think you'll be around. You can have the fun of clicking to buy online, or even better, come into the room.
Come and see us.
Come and see us. And also Jimmy and Dave are here to answer any of the questions you've got about the bikes. As you can see, Jimmy knows all the vendors, all the histories, all the stories. We can give you access to the history file so you can bid in complete confidence. So either way, manorparkclassics.com. Bit of luck. I'll see you on Saturday.
See you there.
Fun starts at 9.